with an update on a potential sale for WWE and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Reflecting on winning the NXT Women's title from Mandy Rose, Roxanne Perez told Faction 919, "It wasn't supposed to happen that day. It was a mix of emotions because I didn't have time to soak it in. Alright, this is happening right now. Expect the unexpected. Obviously, Mandy, I think she is amazing. Since I got to NXT, she is always someone I could go to, and she didn't have to be as giving and sweet to me as she was because she had been there for so long. For her to be such a good human being, I was always so grateful for her. In a way, I was a little sad because of the way it was happening, but she was so supportive and being like, you deserve this. It made it so much more special. To have Booker T, my trainer, on commentary, my boyfriend was also there as well. He was a big part of my training and me becoming a wrestler. To have them there, and when they gave me the championship, holding it in my hands, it didn't feel real until that moment. Everything I went through, all the trials and tribulations, the ups and downs of this wrestling journey that I've been on since I was 13, all those moments were so worth it. It was finally real, and it finally happened. It was crazy." Explaining her decision to sign with AEW, Maria Kanellis told Steve Fall of Wrestling News, "AEW is the best situation for my family right now. The schedule is the best. I also love growing and building with companies. I worked for Ring of Honor and we built the women's division with Bobby Cruz. Building is really interesting to me. For us, it's the best schedule we could possibly have with kiddos. I don't hate WWE. I had great conversations before we made our decision on where we were going to go. My husband had great conversations before we decided where we were going to go. That's the thing that people also need to realize. A lot of us keep great relationships everywhere. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon sent huge baskets to our house, full of all of these kid gifts after both of my kids. It's these baskets of rocking horses, clothes, all these really nice gifts for both of my children. Of course, I appreciate that they did that for us back then, and I still think highly of them today. What they're doing is great. I'm excited to see friends like Mia Yim go back, and whoever else is probably going back. That's fun. I still have a great relationship with Scott D'Amore. It wasn't like I hate Impact, I'm leaving. No, this was the best decision for my family. People saying, how could you not go back to WWE? It doesn't necessarily mean we won't go back at some point. Right now, this is our best decision. Tony Khan is a great boss, and he's been treating us tremendously. I'm excited to see where we go in this crazy industry. Doors are never shut, they're just forgotten about a little at the moment, and then maybe you'll come back to it." When it comes to a change in plans that was made by WWE last night, Sean Ross Sapp reported that an audible had to be called during WWE Raw 30. The originally planned Becky Lynch versus Bayley steel cage match was very abrupt, leading many to wonder if it had changed. Fightful Select has confirmed that the match and entrances were supposed to get 2 segments. However, the opening segment with the Bloodline trial ended up going long and several segments needed trimmed. We're told this affected the Bayley versus Becky Lynch cage match the most, and they either could work an angle to set up to a full-on match or end up doing a cage match that lasted a minute or two. The end result was the angle that we saw. There were no injuries in the segment, as some had wondered. On his podcast, Kurt Angle recalled an instance where he had his neck broken in WWE, saying, "Well, what happened was Brock Lesnar hit me over the head with a chair and he brought it. I mean, when I tell you he brought it, he really brought it. The thing is, me and Chris Benoit both got hit with a chair by Brock that night. Chris, before the match started, he told Brock, hey, swing sideways on my head because I had surgery on my neck, and I don't want you to come over straight over the top. I didn't tell Brock. So he hits Benoit sideways, and Benoit's neck is okay. He goes over the top and hits me right on the top of my head as hard as he could, and I broke 3 broken vertebrae. I had bone chips in my neck, and I had 2 discs that slid into my spinal cord. So kind of messed myself up again. This is the 3rd time I broke my neck." Apparently, fans were concerned about a Vince McMahon return during last night's show, as PW Insider noted. During the DX segment on Raw 30, when Triple H made the remark about if only there was someone other than him to make decisions, Philly began to boo, perhaps thinking he was making a Vince McMahon tease. Of course, it was a setup for Teddy Long to appear. Talking to the New York Post, former WWE star Mandy Rose questioned her firing from the company due to her online adult content, saying, "I am grateful and very humbled with everything I've done and made at the company. But in today's day and age, there are so many other avenues and so many other marketing opportunities. It's like, why can't I do both? At the end of the day, I'm the only one watching out for myself and my career. Everyone's replaceable in our business. It's true. I wasn't told about racy images. I wasn't told about anything else. I was told about the subscription-based platform. What's the definition of racy? A photo of me with 2 titles. I was completely naked underneath. That's considered a racy photo, right?" On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer mentioned when WWE knew they needed to change plans for the Bloodline segment on Raw, which was supposed to be an acknowledgement ceremony involving Afa, Sika, and Rikishi, who weren't able to make the show. The deal is that there was not going to be a trial. That was something that came up to fill the hole that they had from the original idea. Whatever happened on SmackDown was also changed to build towards the trial. Whatever they had planned was to build toward the acknowledgement ceremony, and that was out. But I can't imagine that whatever they were going to do was going to be better than what they did. Releasing a statement for Mark Briscoe about the star's recently deceased brother Jay Briscoe, family friend Josh Wharton said on a Facebook live stream he answered the phone, "Just the most chipper I've ever heard him. The one thing that stuck out to me, he said, I can't imagine going through this not being a believer. He realizes that our time here on Earth is a small glimpse in existence. He realizes that we're going to see him again, and he's hoping to use that as a tool to motivate people to get into heaven with us." He sent a text that says, "God is on the throne. That's all I got, bro. The man has been through a lot, and he still has his faith. He's going to carry on the Pugh and Briscoe name proudly." Despite the passing of his brother, it seems Mark Briscoe is still not allowed on AEW programming by Warner Bros. Discovery, as it was said on Wrestling Observer Radio. Oh boy, I already know the answer. The answer is no. I can't tell you more. It could change, but that's the answer. Hopefully it'll change, but that is the answer. It could change, hopefully it does change. The president of the company, Tony Khan, took to Twitter to announce that Briscoe will be facing Jay Lethal tomorrow on Dynamite in honor of his brother. With Mick Foley not making an appearance during the Raw 30 episode last night, former WWE writer Vince Russo questioned if Foley had heat with the company, saying on his show, "You know, bro, I have to ask. I'm just curious, bro, if people are turning this down. They were either turning it down or getting snubbed. It's one of the two. Mick Foley not being there, I don't know if Mick has heat with the company, I don't know, but Mick Foley not being there doesn't feel right. First of all, I know Mick is very, very political, so there could be political reasons why Mick isn't there. I don't know." With rumors of Steve Austin having a match at WrestleMania this year, Dave Meltzer noted who was pitched to be his opponent at the event, saying it was Brock Lesnar. It's not on. It's been talked about probably for months, because I know when that Brock Lesnar-Gunter thing came up, I was told immediately that's not happening, or that's not the idea right now. Maybe it's going to happen now, but the idea was something that's a secret, so Austin was that secret. The match is not on, and it looks like it's going to be Lesnar with Lashley based on the show tonight. With Mercedes money set to challenge Kyrie for the IWGP Women's title on February 18th in San Jose, Dave Meltzer gave more details regarding Mercedes' schedule, saying on Wrestling Observer Radio, "The first Mercedes match is obviously going to be in San Jose. Mercedes will be at the Sumo Hall show, which will be her first match in Japan, and I believe her second match in Japan will be on the Stardom show at the Yokohama Arena. Those are both in April." Talking about a potential sale for WWE, former WCW executive Eric Bischoff said on his Strictly Business podcast, "Really, in any transaction, you have to get a series of approvals, some that happen quickly and almost automatically, some take time, but a deal like this needs to be disclosed. You're a public company, so you're really in service to the shareholders, and this is months in the making, not days or weeks. That doesn't mean that something doesn't get announced quickly, but it's a couple to many months until closing. I think that they generally are purely financially driven. A shareholder owns a share of stock that's worth X, and the board is obligated in a situation like this to take the best offer and most valuable offer for the shares of stock. So where the terms and conditions come into the evaluation is if one bidder is an all-cash bidder and another bidder is depending on raising $3 billion of debt. Just using that as an example, the likelihood of closing with the cash bidder is more likely. With previous reports of Saudi Arabia buying WWE, it seems the country has attempted to acquire F1 for a huge sum, as Dave Meltzer noted. They tried to buy Formula 1. They got turned down, but they offered just under $20 billion. The last time Formula 1 sold was 2016, and it was sold for, I think, $4.4 billion. So we're talking 6 years later, and they offer $20 billion. But Liberty, which owns it, would not sell it. So don't think they're not going to make a big bid for WWE, because they are. Liberty are not so high and mighty. They have a deal similar to WWE's deal where they bring in Formula 1 Grand Prix to Saudi Arabia every year, and it's a $65 million deal, so they're willing to do business with them, but they were not willing to sell it. WWE is looking to sell, so we'll see what happens, but they were very, very serious about this one. And this was not a company that was for sale. They were looking to acquire something big. More than the soccer team, they've got a Newcastle or Live Golf. They're looking for something, a big-time, major mainstream media purchase right now. WWE would fit into that role very easily. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.